You're listening to Nice-ish, a podcast about reality TV and your opinions, with your hosts, Cindy and Grace. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 54 of Nice-ish. I am here with my co-host, Grace. Hi, Grace. You ready to talk some Bravo?
Yeah, I am. It's going to be fun. We got a lot to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about. We're going to start, though, with some, I don't even know if it's Bravo news. It's like a Bravo clusterfuck on Twitter.
Involving you.
I don't know how. I did not involve myself. I was brought into it. So I want to talk about this mess with Angela, Phaedra, and these two guys that filmed the episode where it's announced that Charles was cheating. It was the Kelly's Williams and Sonoma party episode. And the whole thing was really sketch. You know, it seemed weird. The two guys didn't really seem all that credible,
Yeah,
I guess would be the word.
Sure.
And Angela teased on Watch What Happens Live that we would find out in the finale episode, which is on Sunday, who put up this Marcus guy to say that Charles was cheating on her. Because this Marcus guy supposedly has a restaurant, and he's saying that he saw Charles there with some bimbo.
Right, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know. And then in the background of that scene was a friend of Marcus's, and his name is Alex. So the two of them filmed that day. So Angela said we were supposed to find out who it was who put them up to this on the finale episode. Yet she started naming names in an interview with Carlos King that came out this week. So it kind of just shot the finale episode to hell.
I know, right? I'm sure Bravo was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
what are you doing, newbie? Mm-hmm. She named a name.
Big name.
Big name. Castmate. She said it was Phaedra. Phaedra Parks.
I was so disappointed to hear that, too, because I thought, wow, Phaedra, you know, you're back and you're getting the second chance here, which a lot of people might not get, and you go and do this. My initial reaction was to believe her, too. I don't know if that was yours, but
To believe Angela?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought so as well, only because I had somebody respond to the tweet with two clips of old episodes.
Right, yeah.
And the first one was of a reunion with Nene and Phaedra, and Nene's talking about how Phaedra went behind her back and contacted her half-sisters or step-sisters. I'm not sure if they were half-sisters. Okay. And wanted dirt on Nene. And she's like, you did me dirty. She's like, I would never do that to anyone. I don't care who. You don't contact someone's family.
Right.
And Phaedra didn't have a whole lot to say. She, you know.
She said she met with them.
She did, but I mean, she wasn't.
Talked.
She was kind of trying to defend herself, but it's like, what can you say?
Right, and that was actually even before the whole Candy thing too.
Yes.
So that was another thing on top.
Right. So Phaedra's credibility isn't the greatest,
No,
and then
it's
there's
not.
also an ex-husband that went to prison, along with a business partner that went to prison for all kinds of fraudulent shit. Mm-hmm. Both saying Phaedra was involved, allegedly.
Right.
Now, Phaedra did not go to prison, but they both did.
Nene wanted to bring her out.
Yeah, she did. She threw her name out.
Yeah,
She's like, Angela Stanton, I can bring her out. But, I mean, so Phaedra, you know, has been involved in a lot of questionable stuff. So if you're going to throw her name out in something like this, I'm going to tend to believe it.
Agreed.
So in the interview, Angela calls out Phaedra and says her by name and says that this guy, Marcus, told her Phaedra is the one that either paid him to do it or There was some sort of exchange of services or something. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, that type of thing. But he's saying it was Phaedra. So I post this clip, and both of these men, Marcus and Alex, start kind of commenting on it. And they're replying to other people, but then they start replying to me. And Alex is like trying to convince me of their innocence and says something along the lines of, you know, Phaedra's not involved. It was all Angela. And I said, but he said in the recording that it was Phaedra. And he goes, yes, he said that. He told Angela it was Phaedra, but it wasn't. So I said, you realize this looks shitty either way, because you're telling Angela that it's Phaedra. If it's not Phaedra, then you're lying to Angela. And you're also shitting on Phaedra because you said it was her.
Yeah.
So either way, if it was her or wasn't her, you guys look terrible. And he's like, yeah, I agree. It was shitty.
That's why it's like, why are you trying to prove your innocence? You're guilty either way. It's just, how guilty are you?
Right? So he keeps writing me back and forth, and he's like, I want to send you something. I had not followed him. He followed me. So he's like, is there someplace I can send you stuff? So I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. So I'm like, okay. I follow him back. I'm like, yeah, you can send me stuff here. So he's sending me recordings that he had and Marcus had of their conversations with Angela. And I don't know if Angela knew this or not. I don't know if she knew she was being recorded. But I listened to it and I'm like, I can't even tell this is Angela. It was a bit distorted. I think it was in a car. So you hear the car, you hear the background of the car. Like I said, if they said, who is this on this recording, and it was a housewife, I would not be able to tell you it was Angela.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the smoking gun. It wasn't anything that I felt proved or disproved anything. So I kind of stopped paying attention. He was writing back and forth, and I'm just didn't have much interest.
Yeah.
So then about an hour later, I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I see that there's another message there. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just going to look at it, and then I'm going to go to bed. So I click on messages, and it was not him. It was Angela. Angela Oakley wrote me. And she's like, I want you to know the truth. And so she sent me a recording. And this was her talking to Marcus, I believe. And he was saying he did it. He named Phaedra. It was pretty obvious they had some sort of conversation back and forth, though, because Angela seemed pretty comfortable with him.
Yeah.
And what some may not know is that Alex told me that they went to Angela before the show filmed and said, hey, we saw your husband with another woman at, I don't know if Marcus owns a restaurant. I'm going to say at Marcus's restaurant. And so they were saying they were trying to give her a heads up as like a friend to friend. Although she's not your friend. She didn't know you.
Right.
So why are you getting involved? I don't know. But anyway, so that's why there was some contact before the show. Because they contacted her saying, we know something about your husband. I don't know if she bought it. It didn't sound like she did.
Yeah.
But so she sent me her recordings. And I said, look, Angela, I'm just going to give you some advice from just somebody who's watched from the beginning. You need to trust no one. You need to keep your circle very close. You should not be talking to randoms. And that could include me, although...
I was just going to say, does that include people who are talking about it on a podcast right now?
Well, I'm not saying what hers said. I'm saying what I told her. And I didn't share her stuff, actually. I mean, I saw a bunch of recordings on Twitter from her or about her. I don't know if she gave it to other people. She might have. That's fine. She did not tell me I could share it publicly, so I didn't. So basically, I heard from Alex and I heard from Angela. Marcus tweeted a couple times, but I didn't get any DMs from him. So I showed you everything, and I wanted your point of view. What do you think? Do you think Angela's involved somehow in lying? Do you think Phaedra's involved? Where are you kind of lying on this?
Well, I think probably if somebody was named and then you take back a name, that doesn't really ring true to me. You can't just throw somebody, it was Phaedra. Phaedra told me to do it. And then be like, no, now she didn't tell me to do it. What? Why would you just throw out somebody's random name like that and then say that Angela's the one that told you to do that? That makes no sense. I don't really think Angela has much to do with anything in this whole scenario here. I think her only mistake was talking to these yahoos at all. It doesn't make sense that you would say that Angela's the one that told you to say Phaedra's name either. That doesn't make sense, because why would Angela want to implicate her own husband? That would mean that she would draw attention to the fact that she thinks Charles is cheating on her?
Yeah.
Why would you want that?
So yes, I don't get it either. So Angela approached you guys and said, I want to set up Phaedra, so I want you guys to say that my husband's cheating. And Phaedra told you.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And
Are we missing something here? Because none of it makes sense.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, too. Looking at Phaedra during that scene, she didn't look like she, wasn't expecting it, like Drew, who was like,
didn't.
What's going on? Huh?
Yes. I went back and rewatched it.
Yeah.
And as soon as he started talking, Marcus, Phaedra turned around and started eating.
Yeah.
And Drew, on the other hand, turned and looked over her shoulder.
Yeah, like who is this? Yeah.
What are you saying? Which is what all of us would do.
Right. You'd be interested. You'd be wondering, what the hell's going on? Why? Who are you?
I know. The body language was iffy.
Yeah. So I don't think that Angela really has much to do with anything, in the fact that, she just talked with them.
Yeah.
Probably after this happened to figure out who started it.
Yeah.
I think that's probably these only conversations. And she clearly didn't trust you. Why would Angela be recording all this stuff if she trusted you to help her?
Yeah.
She wouldn't record you.
And how are you helping her when you go on camera and say your husband's cheating?
Right. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know if she expected that either. We know based off of Alex that they contacted her before the show. Why would Angela want you to go on the show and expose all this? It makes zero sense there.
Yeah, it doesn't. It makes no sense at all. So,
why does production want all this bullshit?
I know.
Can we stop going after people's marriages?
Well, that whole thing, if you want to call it a storyline or whatever, just doesn't ring true anymore for any of these. We've seen this on many shows now, and every single time they do it, it's so obvious that they were told to be there.
Right.
And it's just like, really? Like, we're still doing that? This isn't one of the classic Housewives things that I like.
Right. So there's got to be some stuff we don't know. I'm sure in the finale episode, hopefully some of our questions will be answered. We'll see what happens at this party, because both Marcus, Phaedra, Angela, they're all there. We see a bit of a shouting match. And the reunion. The reunion is wrapped. And I know we're going to hear about some of that, too, at the reunion.
Well, you know what's funny, too, is that we're recording this earlier before Atlanta has aired on Sunday when we do this. So we'll see about how this part of our conversation will affect the last part of our podcast here.
All right, let's get into this week's episode of The Valley. So in this episode, the cast goes on a trip to Hawaii. And it's Luke's trip because it's going to be his proposal to Kristen. But he doesn't want Kristen to have any sort of heads up about it. Like, why would Luke be hosting a trip? That's kind of weird. Why am I not hosting it? Why is just Luke hosting it, you know? So he enlists Danny and Nia to fake host the trip and tell everyone that, you know, it's their idea. I think Zach's in on it too. He finds out about it. But
he finds out about it only so that way he can invite Janet and Jason.
oh, right. Yes. Danny and Nia did not want to be the ones to send them any sort of invite, although they were not disinviting them, but they didn't want to do it. So they had Zach
of all
do
people.
it. I know.
Who was disinvited from the trip last season
By
the
Janet.
two of them.
Yeah. Funny. Who's the bigger person here, right?
I know.
So then we have a scene with Danny, Jason, Jesse, Luke, and Jax. They all meet up at Jesse's house with Scott, Jesse's life coach. So I'm not going to talk about everything they said and their bullshit apologies and all this kind of shit. But I do want to ask you your opinion on Scott. What do you think about his groundbreaking life lessons?
If you call it groundbreaking lessons, being able to make what we call in the business a list. What? Yeah, okay. He's basically like just describing what a list is. Like, you're just going to go down and go through all of your grievances and stuff. Yeah, that's a fucking list, man.
Yeah, I know.
What are you talking about? Like, you're acting like this is a technical name for something, or that you just came up with this on your own. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I call it. Can you believe? Like, this really helps. I promise. Like, okay.
He just comes off a bit smarmy.
Yeah.
And like he's read all this advice from an actual doctor and then is just kind of repeating it. You know, he just, I don't know.
Used car salesman type
Vibe.
deal.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
don't know if you have any credentials
I
to
don't
be
think he
giving the
does.
advice that you're giving.
Yeah, I don't think he does. It's not his real job. Because I think they mentioned what he does, and
It's not this.
And it's not this.
So we could just mark our podcast as like, you know, advice, like help. Wait a minute, what's it called?
Self-help?
Yeah.
Life coach?
Life coach, yeah. We could just mark our podcast as that and just say
Oh my
that,
God,
you know,
we couldn't help anybody. We can't even help ourselves.
I don't even know what it's called. I can't even say it.
I mean, he might be a very nice guy.
Sure, we can give that to him.
But putting your hand on someone's chest is, I don't know, you know, he said something like, only men can understand what men go through. Okay.
I'm going to start doing that when I get mad at you. I'm just going to come up to you and put my hand on your chest.
And I'm not allowed to speak.
Yeah. Yep, can't speak.
And then you're just going to shit on me.
And then walk away.
I don't like that. I don't think that's good or healthy.
Terrible. I don't think so either. I actually think that's a really terrible way to do something.
Yeah, he said they couldn't respond.
Yeah, I'm like,
how's anything going to get solved?
Right. Let's be like Jason and Danny talking, and Jason telling Danny, I think you're an alcoholic, and Danny just having to stand there and be like, okay.
All right, well, while all the men are doing this, the women are actually out as well. They go to a dinner. It's Nia, Kristen, Janet, Michelle, Brittany, Jasmine, Melissa, and Sheena. Sheena's just thrown in there.
Uh-huh.
And the purpose of the dinner is for Nia to announce the Hawaii trip. And there's a part in there where Jasmine almost ruins the whole thing, the engagement part.
Oh my God. I'm like, you can't be that stupid, right? She's like, oh, so Zach was kind of telling me that, you know, there's a surprise or that something's going to happen or whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I almost threw the remote at the TV.
Yeah. I'm like, you are so like, Nia's just like looking at her like, what are you doing right now? Like, do you really not know what it is? Are you this clueless?
And if he's not telling you, then why are you telling everyone?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They're wondering.
She just had a, you know, like brain fart or something because that was just dumb.
It was dumb. So I hope that Kristen didn't figure it out from that. I don't know that she did, but I don't think she would admit it if she was like, you know,
no,
that's weird.
I don't think so either. And based off the video we saw of the proposal, she seemed shocked.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the worst moment, however.
No.
It was once again Janet.
God,
She's obnoxious.
Yes.
And she makes both Kristen Doty and Nia leave early. Nia leaving in tears.
I know.
And I had tweeted out, Janet at the girls' dinner is insufferable. And to continue to bring up the ass grab in front of Jasmine and Melissa, who it happened to, she is the worst. What are your thoughts about Janet and this dinner?
Well, my first thought is I don't really know why you're going so hard at Kristen right now. That I can't figure out.
What were they blaming her for?
Well, first it was Michelle. First, Michelle said that Kristen keeps bringing Jenna around, their friend group. And I'm like, well, Michelle, sorry to tell you, but Jenna has been involved in this group for a very, very long time.
Actually, before Michelle, probably.
Yes. I mean, Sheena crop top wedding dress days. She was a bridesmaid in Sheena's wedding.
Yes, I showed you a picture.
Yeah. So she's not some rando, and it's not like they don't all know her.
Right.
So that, I think, is weird. And Kristen actually didn't do anything. It was Zach. They cut to a confessional of Zach being like, nope, that wasn't Kristen.
God, she gets
that was me.
blamed for everything.
And it's just like the only thing that you could really blame her for is just her mentioning the rumor about Janet and Jason. And that was just her mentioning it. Actually, Jasmine is the one that brought it to her.
And Jason's friends are the ones who said it.
So it wasn't even necessarily that Kristen just started it either.
Right.
So I don't know what Michelle and Janet's problem is with Kristen, but you're really not gaining any new fans that way because they just look like they can't move on from things. And that is the absolute worst thing with reality TV. Yeah,
that's true. I think why Michelle has such a hard on for Kristen is because Kristen is the one who exposed that Michelle was cheating.
Yeah.
And whether she wants to cop to just a kiss or more, Jesse is not letting it go. He mentions it every 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so that is making her life, Michelle's life, much harder. And so she blames Kristen for that. She doesn't blame the cheating. Right. She blames Kristen for telling about the cheating.
Exactly. So it started off with her. And then Janet does this thing, though, where she likes to take everybody else's fights and battles and then fight them herself. Mm-hmm. Like, Michelle's talking to Kristen, and then you just completely railroaded Michelle. Because I actually would have liked to have heard why she thinks that. And everybody else at the table also were like, well, no, that's not really true. Like, you know, she's Sheena's friend, this, that, and the other. So they weren't really siding with Michelle. Janet jumps in, looks like a complete ass, and makes Kristen get up and leave. And nobody wants that. They're like, right. No, Kristen, you know, come sit back down, that type of deal. And then Nia's like, well, I'm out too. And then you just start yelling at Nia.
Well, Nia starts crying.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Janet's like, oh, your tears, it's so fake. And it's anytime anything gets, you know, hard, you just fall apart. I'd like to cry too.
I mean, even Brittany's like, Janet, what are you doing? Why are you yelling at her? She's literally just sitting here. It was too much for her. Yeah. Everybody's like, okay, go take a break. Like, right. You're feeling overwhelmed. And then Janet just jumps on her. So it was really a terrible dinner. She did not look good at all.
I would have killed to have sat at the table next to them.
Heard what was going on. Yeah, I know.
So let's move on to the other topic we're going to cover during the Hawaii trip. They all get there. It's the beginning of the trip. And it's only actually the last 10 minutes of the episode. It's literally the very beginning. So the cool thing is we're going to have a whole episode of Hawaii. But Jax did not go on the trip. Not sure if that was his choice or not. I mean, do stolen sunglasses ring a bell?
Oh my God, you think he's not allowed back to
Was
Hawaii?
Jax banned from Hawaii?
He can't go. His picture's hanging up in the airport somewhere. Like, this guy, you see him come. Yeah, he can't. He's not allowed here.
Well, he's probably banned from the store.
Sure.
But probably not banned from Hawaii.
I like it better that he's banned from the state. I think it's funnier that way. I think
it's really funny, too. I remember when that episode came out, I actually made a meme of Jax, and I took like a Bravo type font and wrote, Jax, known thief.
Yeah.
And I've used it constantly, and I actually have my old watermark on it and everything. It's very light, so it's hard to see, but So many people thought that was real. Every time I post it, people think it's real. I'm like, no, I made it. You think Bravo would write known thief underneath his name?
At this point, I think they would.
I know, right? They should. So anyway, Jax does not go on the trip. And everybody goes down to the pool. We see Jason kind of swim over to Danny and they start talking. And, you know, I honestly think Jason without the ball and chain would probably never have an issue with anyone. I think he'd get along with everybody.
I think that too, yeah.
It just made me think, you really want a partner that brings out the best in you. And I think Janet brings out the worst in him.
Well, it's just like you almost see two different people in him, which is really weird. Like two completely different people. One who's apologizing to Danny and being like, I'm sorry that happened, almost crying like in earlier episodes. Yeah. And then you have him with Janet in his ear saying that he's an alcoholic. We gotta, you know, push that narrative here.
Right.
And then him calling him, I just don't know how you have two split opinions like that.
Because you have to protect your wife and side with your wife. Mm-hmm. And so I think he's torn.
Yeah.
I mean, you think he normally cries? I don't. Mm-hmm. I just think he's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, his wife is such a shrew that, you know.
God, you thought signing up for reality TV would be a good thing. You thought that all these people would just love you and everybody hates you and hates your wife even more.
It's awful. Danny and Jason are talking and they've kind of squashed their beef. And Jason's like, look, let's just call the women over and try to resolve this. So Nia and Janet come over and Janet offers Nia an apology. She says she went in hard on her and the apology isn't what's jaw-dropping. It's the reason for the apology, which is that she says she had too much to drink that night.
I think everyone, including Jason, was like, oh my God, did she just say that? Like, did you really just blame it on your alcohol? Because I've literally been telling Danny that he drinks too much and basically that, you know, he turns into a different person.
And he's an alcoholic.
Yeah, and now you're saying that that's what happened to you. Thanks. But what I will say, though, is I love Nia even from the very beginning, but I loved her even more because she's obviously just nice to everybody, kind to everybody on a normal basis. That's her, you know,
that's who she
default mode is her. However, when she gets pushed to a point where she gets annoyed and fed up, she'll snap back at you. And she won't take anything, you know, that it seems like bullshit. She'll call it out. Mm-hmm. So her comment to Janet, though, of being like, that early in the night?
Yeah, you had that much to drink? It was beautiful.
Janet wasn't expecting it either. No. You could tell based off of her face.
She didn't know what to say.
No, she didn't know what to say.
I don't even think she responded.
No, I don't think she did either.
No, I like that too. I think she has such a sweetheart personality, Nia. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of fun to see when someone like that has been pushed just a little too far and they match the energy of the dumb twat that's talking to them. And that would be Janet.
Yes.
And it was shocking to everyone because you just don't get that out of her. Mm-hmm. And it was hilarious. So I had posted, I am dead that Janet used alcohol as a reason why she snapped at Nia when she's obsessed over Danny's drinking. Unreal. And we got a reply from Baz, all that Baz, who said, Janet is the biggest hypocrite. She harps on Danny's drinking, but not Jack's. Jesse is the one that gets sloppy drunk on every trip. He was blacked out in Big Bear and wasted by 10 a.m. in Santa Barbara. Brittany was told by doctors to stop drinking, but won't. But Danny's the problem? There's clearly an alcohol problem in this group.
I know. Yeah, you all have problems. My God.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not all alcoholics, but you all have a problem holding your alcohol, or you just drink too much when you drink.
Right.
doesn't make you an alcoholic. It's just that you do too much.
Yeah, that's what I think Danny's problem is.
He's a lightweight.
Yeah, not only is he a lightweight, but then I feel like he either doesn't get out a lot because he has now 4 under 4.
Yeah.
So when he does, then it's
He goes
too
hard.
much. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Too much, too fast, and then now you
Yeah.
are in a bit of problem.
Right.
But they all do that. They're on this show, though. They all
Right.
drink like that.
Yeah.
So I just feel like to judge the drinking aspect is just like, okay, well, then you better not drink on this show ever
Right.
again, because you can't talk about somebody else's drinking and then do the same thing.
Right. Well, after the apologies are made by everyone, Jason thinks all's good and even says, time heals wounds. And he thanks Danny and Nia for not disinviting him on the trip to Hawaii. And Nia says, oh, we would never do that. And Janet literally pipes in with, you know I would.
Yeah, and then Jason is trying to save her and is like, oh, well, like, she means like from last time,
Yeah.
like not you guys.
Yeah, not now.
Yeah, not now. And
Yeah.
then she's like, no, I wouldn't,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
would
have
not
invited.
have invited them. This is what I mean. Jason has to defend her. He has to cover for her.
Yeah.
He has to do all this shit. And it's just like, dude, she's a liability. Cut her loose.
God, it just must be so exhausting.
Right?
Like, I get that you want to support your wife. I totally get that. You don't want to look like a Jax and Brittany
Yeah.
and not, get along and all that stuff.
Right.
So I get that. But off camera, though, be like,
Right?
what the fuck was that? Oh my God. I was trying to help you. And trying to help you, you stupid bag. And you literally just ruined it.
Yeah.
What? Why? Why would you do that?
Why can't we be more like Danny and Nia and help each other?
God. You're not listening to me. Just be quiet then and
Yeah.
let me talk.
I know.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to next week because it's going to be all Hawaii
Yeah.
and the proposal. So
I know. I'm excited to see that. And I'm excited to see Jesse confront
big
Aaron.
eyes.
Yeah, exactly. God. He's creeping me out. You
Oh,
know?
he looks terrified.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll talk about that next week. So let's talk about this week's episode of Real Housewives of Miami. The only thing we're going to talk about is Julia losing her mind and throwing a drink on Guerdy.
Nutball.
Yeah, it was insane. Completely unprovoked, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think in everybody's opinion, it was weird.
So let me set up the scene. This was a surprise wedding party for Marisol thrown by Alexia, who invited everybody but Adriana.
Okay.
But, Marisol was thrilled, so whatever. But Guerdy brings up the tension between her and Julia, and then Julia just flips out. And Guerdy's like, let me explain to you all what happened, because they're all like, what boat? What are you talking about? When you're on a boat?
Yeah.
So Guerdy's like, she had gone on a cruise, and it sounded like it might have been either work related, Bravo related, because she said there were 3 parts to the cruise, and her and Russell were scheduled for part 1. Julia and Martina, and weirdly Captain Sandy,
Yes. Throw her in there.
were scheduled for part 2. I don't know who was on part 3, but Russell and Guerdy get back from part 1. She's literally unpacking. That's how recent it was. She's unpacking, and she gets this frantic phone call from Julia, and she described her as hysterical and said, Martina can't go. She can't go with me. I don't want to go alone. Can you go? And she's like, I just got home with Russell. Like, I'm unpacking, But she was so hysterical. She's like, okay. Because Julia implied there was some sort of medical scare with Martina, and Guerdy's like, what happened? She's like, I'll tell you on the cruise. And for me, that moment completely rang true, where I'm like, Guerdy is telling the truth, even though Julia kept saying she was lying, because Julia wouldn't tell Guerdy about the adoption. She's like, go look it up. She
Yeah.
wouldn't tell her.
Right.
So you not telling her what was going on with Martina completely rings true to me.
No, I agree with you. I definitely think that in this entire situation, Guerdy is in the right. Like, it's
Yeah.
really kind of easy to see who's right.
Yes.
Like, sometimes you have, conflicting stories and you're not really sure. Like, maybe a little bit of both is true. No, Julia's an idiot.
Right.
It's so funny, too, because when Julia talks and when she'll share, like, her side
Yeah.
of the story, I'm like, you're just saying what Guerdy said.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it doesn't even benefit you. Like, how did you think that this story would help you
There's
at all?
no way to spin it.
No, there isn't. And so
Because
I'm like,
she's complaining at one point on the cruise, Guerdy was making it all about her because they were set up to go to dinner on one night. And because they knew Martina wasn't going to be there, the staff took away her +1 seat for dinner.
mm-hmm.
So she had to tell Guerdy, not only can you not sit with me, you're going to have to go eat somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, you don't think the staff would completely accommodate you if you approached them and said, hey, I brought another Bravo Leb with me.
Yeah.
Can you
She was just here. Like,
I don't even know if you've cleaned her cabin yet. Right? I know. They'd probably, Guerdy, she was lovely.
Yeah.
Why do you not go to them and say, can you set another place setting?
Mm-hmm. And they probably would. Or if you went to them and said, hey, can you set one? And they say no, then you leave.
Yes. You go to the other restaurant with Guerdy, who is your guest.
Yes.
The whole thing is like, how old are you? How do you not know this?
Right.
How
It's
do you just
weird,
leave her? And then she thought Guerdy overreacted and she was, the wrong one in this scenario.
I don't know how. It's so weird. I'm laughing because I don't really know how you don't see it.
I don't either.
At all. And how nobody tells you. How many people have you told the story and they're like, girl, are you not seeing that you're the wrong one here?
And then she tried to spin it like Guerdy was there to get some sort of promotion or deals or from who? Captain Sandy?
Well, the whole cruise is a promotion. That's why you're there too.
And she was already there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like you're there for a promotion. Are you there because they asked you to be? It's the same reason why Guerdy went earlier. So, I mean, you're all there for that.
I know. It was all so dumb and poorly thought out because she really didn't have a leg to stand on.
No.
So, she's got to come up with shit. And there was nothing to complain about.
Yeah, it just seems very produced. Like, self-produced, I should say. Like, it's all Julia right now.
So I made a post that said, Julia asked Guerdy to drop everything and go on a cruise with her, and she's mad Guerdy didn't want to dine alone and then somehow made it about her. I thought Guerdy had excellent points. You want me to be concerned about a serious cancer diagnosis with Martina, yet you left her to go on the cruise. Right? I mean, Guerdy mentioned that in her confessional.
Yeah. And I don't think that Guerdy would have ever said that or gotten to that point had Julia not been the absolute monster that she was.
Yes. And threw a drink at her.
Yeah.
So at that point, she's like, let me just call it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I saw a tweet kind of in response to this, but it wasn't in response to this. It was her own tweet, which I thought was really good, and I had reposted it, which is from Bunny Sanders, who said, let's not forget Guerdy is still in the midst of physical recovery from multiple surgeries and has mental recovery to go through as well. I guess Julia wouldn't know anything about care for cancer survivors since she was getting a facelift when her wife was in chemo. Right. Savage. But that came out on the show too. Guerdy had mentioned that the first round of chemo that Martina was going through, that Julia went to New York City and got a facelift.
Like,
Again, we wouldn't know about all this shit
right.
if you weren't such a monster,
Yeah.
Julia. Like, what's your problem?
I don't know. Yeah, Guerdy literally has dealing with so much. We see that she's still thinking about getting more surgeries done.
Reconstructed,
Yes.
yeah.
So she's just dealing with a lot. And to be like, you're making it about you just seems...
Insensitive
You're
at minimum.
Yes. And that's not what's happening. What are you talking about? I can't figure out how Julia would say that to Guerdy when Julia makes it about her all the time.
Right.
Like, that's exactly what you're doing. What you're mad at Guerdy about is what you do. You literally went to, like Bunny said, go get a facelift when your wife was in chemo.
Right. And you're
What?
going on a cruise when you're
Yes.
hysterical that she just got bad news.
Like,
What are you doing, lady?
I know. Do you not like your wife very much or what?
Well, who knows? She likes big black dick, we know.
Oh my God, that's right.
But who doesn't?
Was that last season or was that...
It was last season, but who threw that out?
I don't remember.
Was it on Watch What Happens Live?
Yeah, it got brought up on there again.
Maybe
this
it was
time.
Alexia on Watch What Happens Live. Her and Marisol. I think one of them said something about that.
Yeah, it might have been Marisol. That sounds like something Marisol would
God,
say.
I don't remember, but it was funny. So what do you think about the way that the women reacted to the drink throw? Were they supportive of Guerdy, or were they just literally, passive?
I think more passive than anything. But the thing is that I was almost confused, and that was the reaction I got from a lot of them. Like, what? How did we get here? Why are you doing this? Like, what the we are so not at this level.
But did
in the
anyone say anything?
conversation.
The only person I heard say something, and it was very mild, was Larsa.
Yeah.
Which was like, okay, we're not doing drink throws. But I saw some comments about Kiki trying to drag Guerdy away. And Guerdy was like, why should I go?
Yeah.
And I thought the same thing. Like, why don't you take Julia out of here? Why are you trying to drag Guerdy out of here?
Right.
I just thought no one vocalized anything like, oh my God, why would you do that? This is not acceptable. We're at a party to celebrate somebody's wedding.
Yeah. And
you fly off the handle. You basically assault a cast member, and nobody's going to stand up and say this. No, nobody did.
Yeah, which is a little weird. I know. Yeah, maybe I should watch it back then too, because I would like to look almost at what everybody's reaction was, like watch it like 5 different times.
Right.
And see, because it is disappointing that you wouldn't just be like, oh my gosh, God, like we didn't need to get here. Why are you throwing anything at anybody?
You cannot do that.
No.
I don't care if we're friends or not. No, we're not doing this.
It just really seemed, again, on Julia's part, very self-produced.
Yes.
Like, you just wanted to do that, and for what? Why?
I think she's worried about
Her spot.
Yeah, her spot. She's got nothing going on.
I don't know.
All right, well, let's wrap up the part with Guerdy and Julia. And before we wrap up this whole thing, I just want to mention Julia meeting up with Adriana, and in their conversation, Adriana mentions that she was really hurt that she wasn't told before everyone else about the adoption of the 2 boys. And she also says she was hurt that Alexia knew before her and had already met them. So does this surprise you that Julia didn't tell Adriana?
Yeah, very surprising. Why would you not? You're the closest one in the group.
You refer to her as your best friend.
Yeah. So why would you not tell her first? Why would she not even be allowed to meet them first? It just seems very, very weird. Julia seems like the type of person where she might have a problem with you, but you won't know.
Yeah, right.
Like until it shows up on the show or something. Like, wait, what? You've had a problem with me for however long?
Well,
You didn't
clearly
say
with
anything.
Guerdy.
That's what I mean. Is that nobody seems to know. You either
Right.
act like things are fine, and then when people see you, they're like, what?
Yeah, I think Julia kind of comes off a bit of a social climber. If she thinks that she would do better on the show knowing other people or being better friends with other people, she's just going to make the move. And I don't know that Alexia and Marisol are the fan favorites. I don't
No.
get that vibe.
I don't get that vibe either. I think Kiki probably is, which is funny because she's not even
Right.
really considered the
And
main
Nicole
cast.
was.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the point of the move was. At one point, she referred to them as allies. And I thought that's interesting. Not friends, allies.
That's weird. Yeah, it seems like she's kind of playing the reality TV game here a little bit
The
and trying to,
teams.
yeah, totally the teams. But it's weird because you're really burning your bridges here because you just got rid of Guerdy and now Adriana. They're not friends right now, are they?
No, they
Yeah.
are not. And Adriana has liked every single post Guerdy has made and put hearts and, support and all that. So no, they're not. So I had made a post saying, ugh, I can't see taking Julia's side on anything now. First Guerdy, now you tell Alexia about your adoptions before your best friend Adriana. Julia, you are the problem. And we got a reply from Haley Biddle who said, she's not even an entertaining monster. I doubt we would even recognize her absence if she didn't return next season. The way she treated Guerdy was so vile, and her over-the-top behavior before, during, and after was super ick.
Well, I totally agree with that. I doubt we would even recognize her absence if she didn't return. I welcome that
Yeah.
she does not return. She's not needed. And she wants to be needed on this show. She wants to have like drama that she's a part of. And unfortunately, I think it's at Guerdy's expense.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the only reason she's on the show was because of Martina.
Yeah,
I think they
that
thought
too.
that was like this big get.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Martina hasn't turned out to be all that likable and a fan favorite at all, to
Right.
say the least.
Right.
And Julia's been boring since day one. My God, do you want to watch her feeding goats?
Farm.
Like, seriously,
Literally.
feeding goats.
I know. What do I care about your fucking goat?
I just don't want to watch that.
No, I don't either.
So
And
I think this is
yeah.
I think this is all Julia's manufactured drama.
Which totally reads too.
Yes, it
Fans
does.
can spot it. I don't understand how women on this show think so little of the fans and
Right?
that we will not be able to spot that or call that out.
They think we're stupid.
How dare they?
How fucking dare they?
I am anything but stupid.
Yeah, so I don't know. I hope this doesn't go on all season long, but I'm guessing it does with Guerdy and Julia. It would be nice if Julia just disappeared, but,
Well, they're going on another cruise, we see, so maybe that'll happen.
maybe she's pushed overboard. That's not very nice.
Isn't that funny though that the whole thing stemmed from a cruise and they're gonna have to go on another?
Yeah, I didn't clock that till you just said it.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
That's going to be great.
Whoever the producer is on this was like A+, man.
2 cruises in one season. All right, so let's talk about the finale episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. As a whole, what did you think of the episode?
I was a bit disappointed for a finale episode. I didn't think it was quite very noteworthy. I thought we would have a little bit more drama. I thought we would kind of get everything wrapped up in a pretty bow here, and we really didn't. I know that can also be what the reunion's for, but still, I thought there would be a little bit more loose ends that got filled in, and it didn't really for me.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing was actually pretty boring. I was looking forward to finding out what happened with Angela and
Yeah.
Phaedra. We knew Phaedra was a big, huge spoiler because Angela gave an interview ahead of time. So I was really interested in all that. And the whole thing just kind of fell flat.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's because we knew ahead of time or not.
I don't think so.
It just was, kind
Because nothing really got resolved. So let me just start by saying we're just going to talk about the whole Angela Phaedra thing. We know Angela and Drew met with Marcus and Alex.
Yeah.
And they wanted to know where they got their information from. And at this point, they weren't naming Phaedra yet. They just said, we saw your husband at the restaurant twice with a woman. And she said, well, tell me when. I need a time frame. And they said June. And immediately Angela was like, well, then I know this is a lie. He was coaching for something called the Big Three.
Yeah, it's probably either college or NBA thing, one of the two.
Some
I don't
sort
know
of tournament.
Yeah.
And he was coaching it. And she's like, he was on national television with it as well. There's no way. So I'm telling you right now, I know you're lying. I need you to tell me why you're lying.
Yeah.
Who put you up to this? And he said, okay, let me write the name. He cracked immediately and said, okay, let me write it on my phone.
Yeah.
And we know he wrote out Phaedra's name.
I do think it's a little odd that they had a whole sit-down conversation. This was supposed to be a big part of the finale of the episode, and they just cut it into like 30 seconds or something, if even, which brings me to think, like, is production doing that because they're like, oh, these two are fools and
Clowns.
We don't care, and we're like, we're not going down this road. We think that they're lying. Or did they do it because they're like, we just got Phaedra back. We cannot,
Whether it's true or not?
Yes, whether it's true or not. We can't lose her again. Like, we just had this,
Right.
whole thing happen, and now she's back, and we want her.
And what do you think? Where are you leaning?
The problem is that I don't put it past production to do that.
Right.
But I also think these two guys are clowns, like you said.
Yeah.
So I don't really know.
I guess I'm leaning towards Angela's getting played. She thinks she's being told the truth. I think these two are lying. I think they wanted to be on the show, wanted some attention. I would say production is who I would probably look at the most.
Okay.
Let's just jump to the actual gala, which it was lovely. I love to see that they give back, and especially with going hungry. That is like awful. So I love his charity, Charles's charity, and it was very sweet that they honored Portia in it as well.
I know. I thought it was nice. They wanted to raise 50,000, and they actually did over 100,000.
Yes.
So that was great.
That was great. So we were kind of looking forward to this moment, though, but Charles sees Marcus and loses it. So does that mean Angela did not tell him he was coming?
I don't know. That's the first thing I thought, too, when I thought, what is he doing? Does he not know that he's here? That they called him here?
He clearly did not know.
I'm like, you gotta tell your husband. Like, you gotta have him be in on the plan.
I think she knew how he was going to react, so she wanted this
didn't,
all on the down low over, in the lobby or something, and then he's going looking for her, and he's like, what the hell is this guy doing here? So that almost went terribly wrong, because Angela was kind of yelling, like, Charles, trust me, trust me.
I know. Which was weird because we saw the whole thing about how at the beginning with Angela's like therapy and stuff, how she was like, I didn't trust him. And now, he's like, I don't trust you. So it's a little weird. I don't know. They clearly have an issue there about.
So Angela gets Marcus back in the room. All the women are sitting there, and she's like, tell everybody who put you up to this. And he names Phaedra.
Yeah.
Did anything in that scene ring true to you? Did you see any guilt in Phaedra's face? Did you think Angela thought it was Phaedra? Did you think this Marcus guy, is lying about the whole thing? What was your vibe?
Well, I'll be honest. Phaedra did not come off 100% truthful to me. I don't know if that's because you're not prepared for it to come at you or not, but I definitely think Angela thinks it's Phaedra, for sure. What's weird about it, though, is that Marcus is saying that I got an envelope and I got all this stuff. And it's like, there's no way Phaedra's stopping at your house and putting in your mailbox an envelope or something of what? Like files on somebody or cash? Or what are you saying? So that was really stupid.
But also, I thought he said he saw him there. Did he not see Charles there then at his restaurant?
He said that.
He said that he saw Charles at his restaurant twice.
Yeah.
So is all of this a lie? Did he not see Charles? Because why are you blaming Phaedra for anything
when you saw him?
When you said you saw him.
Right.
So did you not see him? And Phaedra's, the one who made up this lie? Like, I'm confused there, too.
It really doesn't make sense why Phaedra would do it. I think it's stupid. The only reason why she would is if she thought that she wanted to come on the show and start drama.
Right.
But I don't think she would actually want that.
And not with Angela.
Right. It doesn't make sense. I do think it's a little weird that the heat is on her and then she's like, just brings up Angela's foreclosure. Yeah, like that came out of nowhere, weird. Which signaled to me, I'm like, okay, so you really want to stop kind of talking about this and shift the focus on something completely different, which is usually what somebody does when they're lying.
And you also had that ready. Why?
Yes.
How did you know? Did you dig? Why do you know this?
Right.
So, yeah, that was very weird.
So I thought, oh, okay, that's, a note in the back of my head. But I don't know. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know where to go with it because I want to believe that Phaedra didn't do anything, but I don't know if I do.
I think with Phaedra's past and all of the things we mentioned earlier in the podcast, that she's definitely, out of her and Angela, she's the least credible.
Sure.
However, now that I've watched all of it, my opinion has changed.
Oh.
I don't think Phaedra did it. I think Angela thinks Phaedra did it legit.
Okay.
Like, she's not coming after Phaedra. She legit thinks she did it. She's putting her faith and belief in the wrong people. Because these two guys didn't see shit.
Yeah.
And they're acting like Phaedra put them up to it, but then they're saying it wasn't Phaedra later. Like, we're seeing on the show him naming Phaedra. Now on Twitter, he's saying it wasn't Phaedra.
Yeah.
That Angela made me do it. So everybody's pushing you around and making you do shit. Why are you even here?
Who are you?
And did you even see Charles?
I know. That's also it, too.
So this whole thing, it's unfortunate. This whole season came to a head here, and it was anticlimactic, still confusing.
Yeah.
And just was like a wah-wah.
I would agree. I think that Marcus is a bonehead and that they just had him on to start stuff that really led nowhere.
Right.
And this is what we're left with, which is a really shitty way to end a finale. Because, I don't know. I mean, on the credibility list, Angela has the highest. Phaedra's kind of in the middle. And then this rando is, at the bottom. You can't change your story 50,000 times.
No.
The truth doesn't change.
Right.
So,
exactly. And he has 5 stories.
Yes.
So we don't know what the truth is or if you've even listed the truth yet out of those 5. And Angela's a newbie. She didn't know better.
Sure. Yeah.
And they took her. So that's disappointing too, because she might have had a friendship with Phaedra. But, so I guess we'll see something at the reunion about this. I don't know. It's very, very confusing.
It is. So I know. I don't know that we're going to get an answer, but you're probably right, though. It probably wasn't Phaedra. I don't know. The problem is that these guys are so uncredible.
Yeah.
Is uncredible a word?
Incredible's a word.
I know incredible is so.
They are uncredible. I don't know.
Untrustworthy?
Right.
Maybe. I'll go with that.
I'll take uncredible.
I'll have to Google that after. I don't know if that's a word. But you just gave Phaedra an out. even if she actually did do it, because you're so untrustworthy and your story's all over the place that I'm willing to give Phaedra the benefit of the doubt because I don't know, because you're all over the place.
Right. So the only person I don't trust is you.
Right.
So one possible other suspect was brought up who was very quiet through the whole thing, and that was Britt. Angela did insult Britt, saying she had stretch marks around her mouth. She didn't love, Kelly at this point. So this event happened at Kelly's event. I mean, are we just taking circumstantial evidence and pointing it at Britt because she's awful and then she didn't go to the reunion?
Yeah, I don't think it was her. No, I don't think so at all. She seemed like she was interested to know what was going on too. Like, who did what, huh? So I don't believe that anybody that's sort of interested or looking around is wondering what's going on is really involved in much. She doesn't really quite seem like the type. It was her.
Oh my God, are you serious? You don't think she seems like the type to go this low?
No, I think she seems the type to go this low, but I don't think she'd have anybody that would do it for her.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. These guys would do it probably for $5, so. And a little,
that's what was in the envelope.
Airtime. Right? A little airtime on the show, a little bit of this, a little bit, I don't know.
I don't know. She just doesn't seem like she has many friends, Britt, so I don't think anybody would.
These guys aren't anybody's friends.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to convince you it was Britt.
I'm not buying it.
All right, well, let's hope the reunion gives us some answers, because I have none.
Well, it won't. Britt's not going to be there, so she will have 0 answers.
Right. Thanks for listening to episode 54 of Nice-ish. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, or Threads at Nice-ish Podcast or Love Cindy C. You can listen to Nice-ish wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Look for new episodes every Monday. Thank you for listening and have a nice-ish day.